Presiding Officer, to ask the Scottish Government how it is working to build resilience to flooding, following reports to heavy rain and flooding causing drivers to be stranded on the Edinburgh City bypass for hours.
Cabinet Secretary Mary McCallum.
Presiding Officer, I should like to begin by expressing my sympathy for those impacted by heavy rain of last week, and also my thanks to those who responded to the events. These extreme weather events are increasing as a result of climate change, which is why improving flood resilience is a priority for the Government. In response to the severe weather on Thursday, and in particular that flooding on sections of the Edinburgh bypass, Transport Scotland worked with Bear Scotland to deploy pumps to clear the carriageway, whilst Police Scotland carried out welfare checks of those stuck in flooding, as well as ensuring that diversions were in place. Now, in the face of increasing challenges as a result of climate change, the Government is taking a suite of actions to build resilience. These include increased investment in flood risk management, as well as funding the Scottish Flood Forum and supporting SEPA with their flood forecasting service. Transport Scotland are also planning for and investing in adaptation, including in schemes to improve drainage and realign watercourses. And on strategic planning, the Scottish Government is also taking forward actions, including the consultation I opened last week on our flood resilience strategy and our adaptation strategy, which we'll publish this year.
Faisal Chowdhury.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I thank the Cabinet Secretary for the answer. This is not the first time that Edinburgh City bypass has seen flooding. It should be a high priority for flood protections. Yet the flood resilience strategy consultation neglects our transport network in building new resilience to flooding. What risk assessment has the Scottish Government carried out, and what investment will it make to ensure our roads and railway are not closed and people's live disrupted, as we will increasingly see disruptive and damaging extreme weather?
Cabinet Secretary.
Presiding Officer, I would just open my response by pointing out that I think more than a month's rain fell in a 36-hour period on Thursday and Friday of last week. The Esk at Musselburgh rose to its second highest level on record, and the Eddleston water at Peebles reached its highest level on record. So these are unusual events exacerbated by climate impacts. Mr Chowdhury raised the issue of transport planning and actions that Transport Scotland are taking. Well, in terms of that strategic approach in 2023, their strategic framework was published, which looked explicitly at adaptation on Scotland's transport network. And I also mentioned in my opening response some of the practical investments that are being made to build resilience on our transport network to climate change, including in the last financial year, where £2.5 million were spent on 17 drainage improvement schemes and on one watercourse realignment. That is just one example of how Transport Scotland are investing to adapt our system.
Faisal Chowdhury.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. During the heavy rainfall this week, constituents raised concern with me once again that sewage could be discharged into the water of Leith. When the Scottish Government ditched its 2030 climate target, I warned that inaction on the climate would result in more heavy rainfall, flooding and potentially more sewage in our waterways. I requested a meeting to discuss this combined sewage overflows with the Cabinet Secretary, but I was told it would not be useful. So, will the Cabinet Secretary show the Scottish Government is taking this seriously and restore the public's confidence by meeting with me and the campaigners on this issue?
Cabinet Secretary.
Presiding Officer, the tenor of this question it pertains to water quality as opposed to flooding, but I'm happy to answer it and to give an update to Parliament, which is, on the one hand, that 87% of Scotland's entire water environment is assessed by SEPA as having good or high classification. That's up from 82% 6 years ago. But we aren't complacent. Scottish Water is committed to installing, for example, 1,000 new spill monitors by the end of this year, and their Improving Urban Waters route map demonstrates work underway. And just to give some figures around that, 230 new spill monitors have been installed at priority locations. This was done by the end of 2023. By the end of March 24, over 800 of the promised 1,000 spill monitors had been installed, so Scottish Water is well on track to deliver that commitment, and detailed solutions are currently being developed to address 104 high-priority, unsatisfactory combined sewer overflows. And I hope that that information and more that I'm happy to provide to the member can give him some reassurance.